What's up, fam? It's Brian Castrillo. So this is my review for Ahsoka Tano, Episode 5, Shadow Warrior. And if you have not seen this, hit that like button, go check out that episode, and then come back and let's talk about it and find out why I love this episode so much. It was beautiful, but obviously spoilers, so let's get into it. Now, this episode brought some nostalgia in there. It closed some storylines. It further explained how kind of the world between world works. But if you haven't listened to Dave Filoni's kind of explanation of it, I highly recommend looking that up and seeing what he has to say about the world between worlds. It kind of puts it more into perspective. And also, I'm hoping this series will show that Mace Windu, in my pinned video, that is going to come true, because I believe Mace Windu is still alive out there. Now, Ahsoka Tano, to me, is one of the best characters in the entire Star Wars universe. Easily, in my opinion, the best female Star Wars character in the cinematic Star Wars universe. I just love her arc. Just an amazing character. But this, Episode 5, Shadow Warrior, begins with, we see Hera Syndulla and Jacen Syndulla. Of course, Jacen is the son of Kanan Jarrus. Hera and Jacen land at the map point where we saw Shin Hati, Baylan Skoll, and Morgan Elsbeth, put that map up where they've figured out where Grand Admiral Thrawn was. And then we start off where Anakin is telling Ahsoka how she lost the fight. Of course, this is a callback to Clone Wars when, he fought her as Darth Vader. And he said he's telling her how she looks old, but he also says that he's here to finish her training. And why that is big is because Ahsoka, if you watch the Clone Wars, she of course left the Jedi Order after what had happened, and she never quite finished her Jedi training. And she spoke about that later on, how she kind of wishes she did, sort of. But this is big because then he starts telling her how, live or die, and then they begin this lightsaber battle. We hear Jacen Syndulla. He's by the water, and he can actually hear the lightsaber battle between Anakin and Ahsoka Tano, and it is so cool to see Hayden Christensen back. He was fantastic in this, and of course, Rosario Dawson is amazing as Ahsoka Tano. I could not imagine anybody else playing that role, but now that we know that Jacen can hear that, and he clearly has abilities at a young age, this could be very important. I believe we're going to get more into his story going forward, which I'm absolutely excited for. Now then we see Anakin. He breaks the plane where they're walking on, and they fall into the Clone Wars, and of course this goes back to the cartoon. Now, I didn't want to watch the cartoons at first. I thought they were going to be silly, kind of kiddish, but I was 100% wrong. The stories are fantastic, and to see the Clone Wars, to see Rex, to see this happening in live action, my mind was blown, and I was so excited to see that. So for that scene, thank you. And then they're walking through the Clone Wars going on. It's kind of smoky, and there's this one moment where you see Anakin. He's walking, and he's got the troops going with him as he's going to fight the Separatists, but then his silhouette changes to Darth Vader, and he's alone during this. But we hear, and he's basically trying to teach Ahsoka the lessons of war and what this means. And Ahsoka goes to him, what if I want to stop fighting? Because she's heartbroken about how she feels responsible for many of these soldiers, or clone soldiers, dying, and wants to blame herself. And he basically says to her, then you die. A very kind of dark moment there. But then he ends up kicking her back into the world between worlds, and you see him coming through the smoke, and the silhouette's changing to Darth Vader, and then back to Anakin. Just a really cool moment. And of course, they begin to fight with lightsabers again. But there's this moment where he stares her down, and and Ahsoka doesn't have her lightsaber at this point because she lost it, but she's holding him back, and Anakin's lightsaber is red and it's glowing in her eyes. Like, and at this moment, you're wondering, is she about to become, a Sith and let her hate fuel her? But no, she actually grabs Anakin's lightsaber, throws it away, and tells him, "I choose to live," which is huge because I believe this truly completes her training as a Jedi. And then, of course, Anakin says to her, "There's hope for you yet." And I love how he's calling her Snips, because of course that brings you back to the Clone Wars. So that was absolutely amazing. But then we hear the Chopper. He's saying how he there's something in the water, but Jason's also saying you need to fly low, and this is where Ahsoka's body is. And I guess the world between worlds is really just a powerful, like, it's happening, but it's through the Jedi mind. It's kind of hard to explain. That's why I say go listen to what Dave Filoni's description of what the world between worlds is, because I think that is important. But they pull Ahsoka from the water. Jason tells Ahsoka how he can hear her fighting, and I'm wondering, is she going to be his master at some point, and him her Padawan? Will have him as her Padawan. I think that's going to be a really cool story going forward. And then going forward. But then she looks up, the Purrgil there. And by the way, the Purrgil was amazing. Now, we did see Purrgil one time in live action, and that was in The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. But, of course, they were in the Clone Wars. And to actually, really see them was so cool. And Ahsoka uses the Force to talk to them because they are Force sensitive. And her and Huyang fly in there, and this is after, and then also it says Senator Organa is commanding her to come back, which of course that's got to be Leia. So that was really cool that she was mentioned. But she also says how she knows how to follow Sabine, and of course then they fly up to this part of the Purrgil. They actually fly into the mouth, and she just kind of lets go and lets the Force take her wherever they take, wherever the Purrgil take her. So I thought this was a really cool episode. What did you guys like it as much as I did? What do you have questions going forward? Of course, I am going to watch episode 6 right after this, but let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and may the Force be with you always.